but it's changed. When I came here in 1980, you know, some of the apartments around here didn't look quite like what they look like now. And I could afford them then. I don't think I can now.
Faculty housing is still there. Today is 9/11. You were down at ground zero with Senator McCain. And we're going to ask a lot of the same similar questions that we asked to Senator McCain. And the first one we asked was, what does 9/11 mean to you? What's the significance of it? Where were you when it happened, for example?
Well, I was in Chicago. I was in the state legislature at the time. I still remember driving down Lakeshore Drive on my way to a committee hearing downtown and hearing the initial report. And I was still confused then whether it was an accident, what had happened. By the time I got downtown, we started evacuating the buildings, and then we all watched it more on television. And it, like I think for most people, it is indelible. And it is a reminder not only of the terrible potential for evil in the world, but it's also a reminder of what America does at the toughest times, which is to come together. And when I think of 9/11, I think of that spirit after the tragedy had occurred. How the outpouring of patriotism, emotion, volunteerism, the desire for service was in the minds of everyone. And that was also a moment when the petty bickering and partisanship that comes to characterize our public life was set aside. And so the question is, how do we recreate that spirit, not just during times of tragedy, not just during 9/11, but how do we honor those who died, those who sacrificed, the firefighters, the police officers? How do we honor them every day? How does it reflect itself in our government? How does it reflect ourselves in how we conduct our own civic life? You know, my sense is that the country yearns for that. It's hungry for it. And what has been missing is a president, a White House that taps into that yearning in a serious way.
Well, Senator McCain actually agreed with that a few minutes ago. He said that if he had been president, he would have used that opportunity to ask the country to serve, to ask people to serve. What's different about what you're saying?
Well, I'm not sure there is anything different. What I know is that had I been president at the time, I have to say the president did rally the nation in a speech at Ground Zero, and subsequently we went after those who had attacked us appropriately. But rather than tell the American people to shout, what I would have done is to say, now is the time for us to meet some great challenges. We've been tested, and yet we have survived. And we are going to be stronger than we were. And the way we're going to be stronger than we were is to tap into the feeling that everybody has been caught up in. We're going to have a bold energy plan that says that we are going to reduce our dependence on foreign oil by 20 to 30% over the course of a decade or two. We are going to ask all citizens to participate in that process, not just government, but each and every one of us are going to make commitments in terms of increasing fuel efficiency in our cars and our homes, and the government is going to be in partnership with citizens to make that happen. We are going to tap into this desire when it comes to first responders. You know, one of the striking things as you travel around the country is the number of small towns and medium-sized towns that rely exclusively on volunteer firefighters. And think about what we could have done all across the country as part of a Homeland Security initiative to organize groups around the country that could serve in those common ways. And I would have asked very explicitly for young people to engage in community service and military service. You know, I was listening earlier the discussion about who serves in our military. And I think that had the president very clearly said this is not just going to be a war of a few of us, this is going to be an effort that mobilizes all of us, I think we would have had a different result.
What are, Senator Obama, the obligations of citizenship in a democracy? Basically, in America now, people vote, only about half of them, and they pay their taxes, and that's about where the bar is. What would you, ask of people in what you call, I believe, active citizenship? How is that different than what we see now?
America is the greatest country on earth, but it didn't just happen on its own. It's not a gift only, although it is a great blessing that we've received. It is also a responsibility. And part of what makes America work is the fact that we believe in individual responsibility and self-reliance, but we also believe in mutual responsibility, in neighborliness, in a sense that we are committed to something larger than ourselves. Now that can express itself in a whole range of ways, but what has built this country is people's sense through voluntary associations, but also through public service and government, that we have commitments that extend beyond our immediate self-interest, that aren't always motivated by profit, that aren't simply short-term, that we're thinking long-term to the next generation. And every bit of progress that we've made historically is because of that kind of active citizenship. And as president, what I want to do is restore that sense of common mutual responsibility, and I think the American people are ready for it.
But give us some examples, specific examples of how you would do that, because people listening would say, oh, it all sounds well and good, but how would you do that?
Well, let's talk very specifically about...
And we just have a minute left.
Okay, well, it'll carry over, but I put forward a very specific national service plan, and I'm glad to see that my dear friend, Senator Kennedy, as well as a fine Senator, Senator Hatch, have come together and taken many of the similar elements. They're going to be introducing it tomorrow. One way of making sure that we encourage this kind of citizenship is to start early, to make sure that our young people in high school have community service opportunities, making sure that our university students, in exchange for making college affordable, are giving something back, that they're working in underserved communities, that they're teaching, that they're working in hospitals that need help. I've got all kinds of other stuff, Judy, but I'll wait till after the break.
We are going to take a break. Thank you for announcing that, and we'll be right back.